afternoon, Warriors, and welcome in to another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Robert Hagan. Robert, how's it going? It's March.
It is March. I don't know if we're going to get much time to talk about March Madness, but I'm more excited. It is Washington high school sports season.
All of them.
All of them all at one time. All of them at one time. As I had a chance to go up and check out the girls' soccer. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. They had their first game tonight. Football this last weekend. I went up and covered that game. I got the opportunity to watch Shadle Park and that, and it's just, man, I'm jacked. The same volleyball going on at the high school right now. It is going to be a crazy, like you and I were talking, crazy next 2 months with local sports, and even this week, next week, it just.
I was talking to Bert. Bert Salberg on Sunday, and he was bringing up the fact that this year is so crazy. The fact that we had LCSC baseball, we had Idaho Vandal football, and we had Gonzaga basketball all on the same day.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And NASCAR, and if you wanted to keep adding of all the extra things, it's gonna, yeah.
But just local stuff, yeah. NIT going to 16 team, it's a weird year. The NAIA stuff will come out here in a couple days, and they have a weird system. We've talked about it already on the show.
CCC with the new tournament with the Warriors, it's just almost mind-boggling to the idea of, okay, which way are we getting pulled? I mean, you and I talked about that earlier. Pre-show is like, I feel like we should be covering on this area, and now we've got to circle back. We got football, and we can circle back, and it's just going to. And then Washington high school basketball starts here in about 3.5 weeks. With practice,
all of the LCSC sports are going. We have golf next week. Golf comes back for LC. So let's just run through some stuff. Baylor defeated West Virginia earlier today in overtime, 94-89. Baylor getting their first loss this weekend. Knocked them down to 3. We'll talk about that in the second hour. Illinois all over Michigan right now. I was excited to kind of keep an eye on that, and then as we're setting up, now we don't have to.
Yeah, it's up to 24 right now.
But like I said, we have so much going on. We're going to talk more NFL free agency. We have 10 more names that we're going to predict their location. As you said, we have all of the spring college football stuff going on. We have all of the local area high school sports, which the list that you put on our prep sheet is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
We have NCAA basketball to talk about. We have all the LCSC sports. Track and field are in South Dakota right now for their indoor national championships. Of course, we have our favorite sports with golf and bowling and NASCAR. We don't have one. We have 2 interviews today. We have Kai Fong, the LCSC tennis coach for the last 3 decades plus. Will be here very shortly. He was just finishing up a lesson that he got done at 6. And he will be here right after that, so just in a few minutes. And then we have Clarkston's own A.J. Davis, who is now playing for the LCSC Warriors. He'll be here at the top of next hour, and we'll be able to talk about all the times that we got to call his high school games and how he's feeling. He's been a little banged up in this season, but just a jam-packed show. And
then you hit me with, I got 2 weeks to learn a new sport. I mean, I know a little bit of it, but I might have to ask
Eric's going to love it. Eric's going to love the thing.
He will.
Eric, we are previewing Aussie rules football in 2 weeks. I'm going to get Robert into that sport. That is going to join the sports that don't get enough airtime. I'm sorry you don't get your 5-pin bowling because AFL takes over.
But it's funny. I think I'm going to have to ask Tori's dad because I think he played or was involved up, with the stuff, the clubs up at WSU with the Aussie football.
They've done rugby up there. I don't know if they've done Aussie rules up there, but they've done rugby for sure. They did rugby here at LC. Small little me was on that team for 2 years.
Yeah, it's gonna
back when I could move.
It's gonna be interesting.
Maybe I should blame rugby for how sore everything is.
Eric's all excited. Here we go. Yeah,
absolutely. We haven't even talked about the fan-based football league that got started. That's kind of like arena football. I watch it a little bit just because I'm a kind of funny fan. They're into video games and stuff. They're part owner of one of the teams.
What's funny is on my phone today, it flashed across, download the app and control the team. I'm like, well, I'm trying to play catch up right now. It's just I feel like I slacked a little bit. I didn't get to watch any of the NASCAR, so I'm a little behind on it. But
you did, as a NASCAR fan, you missed nothing in NASCAR. Let's talk while we wait for Kai to finish things up and come on by to hang out with us. I want to talk about the NAIA basketball bracket, which will be revealed on Thursday night. It's going to be released on the NAIA Facebook page. I saw somebody on a school somewhere Midwest. I forget even where it was when I was just trying to search information. He has come out saying that the women will be released at 6 p.m. local time. I believe it's local time. And the men will be 7 p.m. Maybe it's his local time. So those times I'm not 100% sure on. Kind of keep an eye on the NAIA Facebook page for that. Obviously, the women and men have both qualified. We expect the men to get that first round bye. Women, maybe not, but we're hoping or pretty sure that they're going to be here for their games. But the big news came out from the CCC. And again, it's a bit weird since there were really only 2 teams that played in the Cascade Conference this year. The first year LC's in it, but the women just nearly swept all of the awards on the women's side for CCC. Kiara Ballage ends up being the player of the year for the CCC. Friend of the show, Abby Johnson, wins defender of the year, and Brian Orr gets coach of the year. And all 5 spots on the all-CCC team go to the Warriors. You get Ballage, you get another friend of the show, Jansen Edmondson on there, Abby Farmer, Abby Johnson, and Peyton Souvenir, all on the ACC team for the women's side. Jada Reed of College of Idaho was the newcomer and freshman of the year for the women's side. So congratulations to all of those ladies. And I'm sure they're very excited to see who and where and when they play on Thursday.
I just wonder how full of anticipation they are of, what's going to happen. Because they were up there for a little bit. Now, what did we figure? They were right about 24th, but, moving around a little bit. They should host, having that bid.
I don't expect them to have a bye.
I don't either.
But you would think being the 2 seed in a site would still end up being here. You would hope that they would try to save on travel and let them do that. On the men's side, they get 4 individual awards, and they take 3 of the all-conference spots. But Demique Mitchell is named the CCC Player of the Year. Hodges Bailey is the Defender of the Year. Oren Courtney is the Newcomer of the Year, and Austin Johnson is your Coach of the Year. Jake O'Neill, College of Idaho, is your Freshman of the Year. Your CCC all-team is Hodges Bailey, Tristan Bradley, Demique Mitchell, and then Jalen Galloway and Ricardo Time of College of Idaho wrap that up. And the men did get a couple of warm-up games in there on Thursday and Friday. They swept Multnomah. On Thursday, they win 99-70. On Friday, they win 99-67. And I have heard that both the men and women are hoping to fill in some games within the next, hopefully, possibly this weekend. I haven't heard anything yet, but trying to get a little bit of warm-up going.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking with Jansen last week about. I mean, how do you go into this tournament and with almost 2 weeks off, no live play? I mean, it's totally different going against your teammates or trying to scrimmage, but mentally keeping in game mode has got to be tough, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we jump over into the other side of the college stuff, as a couple of other games got canceled for some of our local teams. How do you keep yourself mentally ready for some of these games? And we keep talking about the C word and how it's affected everything, and as we come up on the 1 year anniversary. I hate saying that. The 1 year anniversary of the C word.
March 15th was the last day I worked at the casino, and it's still not open.
I was to say, I think for school for me was March 17th. We went to school March 16th, kind of knew something was going on, that the things were going to get changing and all that. And then, boom, the next day, but how are you going to keep yourself mentally ready? These girls, and you got to remember, these guys are, 19, 20-year-olds that are used to being go all the time and not being able to have live play. I mean, it's just totally different. I mean,
and Jansen even said that being ready for practice and being ready for a game, two completely different things. The last time the women took the court, February 21st, when they beat the College of Idaho in the second game of that best of 3, 97-66. Both schedules on lcwarriors.com do not show anything, and I don't think if they don't play this weekend, don't expect them to play at all until the tournament, because obviously that is the weekend after that. And I will be on one of the broadcasts. I think it's the first game on Friday, so hopefully LC ends up on one of those. So I'm calling a Warrior game, but we'll see. But I have been told I'm being able to call one of them, so we'll keep an ear on that.
You've been hanging out with Bird again, huh?
Well, yeah, and I get to hang out with them this Sunday. I'll do the PA for the baseball team again, and I'm just trying to find ways to watch these sports.
Yeah,
with no fans.
I mean, that was the exciting part for us is I got to go up to Spokane and watch the Bantams play football, as it got switched, and we'll talk about that later. But to be able to watch live action is it's almost just very uplifting to the point of things are getting back to normal.
They're getting there, back to normal. And I have seen, I don't know details yet, but the CCC are amending some of their rules. It was no fans, and now it'll be a few fans. I'm sure there'll be the 6 feet distances between families, and you have to wear masks. I think I saw whether it's indoor or outdoor. But at least we're going to start seeing fans, hopefully, for these tournament games in basketball, and we got to get some people in the stands for the baseball games, because it was weird doing PA for nobody. And for the 6 Warrior players that were out in the stands and the 2 players from the other team that had the radar gun, and there's probably about 10 to 15 diehards that were out there at left field on the other side of the fence trying to watch through the opening.
Maybe this is just me, and just because running the Banana Belt tournament for so many years and dealing with some of these games, I think for me it's a little bit more on the business side of it, and I hate to say that because schooling shouldn't be about making money and businessing, but you think about LC losing out all of the NAIA tournament, but
last year,
but you think about more of who else did it affect. I mean, look at all the hotels that lost out revenue. Absolutely. Look at all the restaurants. I mean, and I've heard numbers many different times of how much it affects the community. I mean, those 10 days brings in millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And then
it affects, again, I work at Lancers Casino, and that is always a big uptick for us.
Yeah.
Because we are right across the street from Best Western, and a lot of families will stay over there for some of the NAIA teams, and the players will come over on days that they don't have games, or family members are like, well, my kid doesn't play till 3, so I'm just going to hang out here and gamble a little bit. So for that week, or at least the first half of that week before teams start getting eliminated, we are packed from opening to close. So obviously not being open at all for it, not having the tournament, a big factor for sure.
And think of all the cars that are parked out here outside of the fields serving food. I mean, a lot of those people rely on that, all those incomes of coming in and making a little bit of money. Like the China Inn used to come in there, and they had their Chinese truck, and they were set up there, and were there, and they were busy all the time. And some
how much money did you and I give them just on Memorial Day every day?
And that's the thing. I think about that. I mean, you and I sit here, we pay $20 for a ticket for our whole day, and then you sit there. Okay, how many bottles of water did we go through? Food.
I was trying to different truck in between every game and grabbing snacks in between. Yeah, we spent lots of money on Memorial Day, just the 2 of us.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think in how that's affected, the numbers coming in and replenishing things and being able to do things here at LC. It's a huge shock, and we need to get back to some normalcy. And I think LC is doing the right thing, slowly starting to probably let people in. So hopefully we get some really good news here.
All right, let's move on to spring college football, which is partially weird, but I'm kind of into it.
It's just weird.
We don't have the AFL or the AAF anymore or the XFL yet, so we have that void for spring football. So I'm kind of thinking this Division II stuff, the FCS,
right?
Maybe it should just become a spring thing.
It was, I don't know, it was really cool. Did you see the Vandals uniforms?
I didn't get to see any of the game because I was at the baseball field.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right. But with everything that was going on that day around that
but
area.
Still, it worked for Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up getting the win. They beat Eastern Washington 28-21. I heard it was a late second touchdown that gave them the lead to win that game. And I am all for football all year round.
Oh, yeah.
Just mixing things around.
We can go football all year round and deal with, I mean, that's the best part about it. So to have, all these individuals playing and seeing guys out practicing and just, heck yeah, football all the time would be the best thing in the world for even the valley, even the area, but just getting some kind of normalcy is the best thing.
You probably want to talk right into it.
All right.
Thank you.
So we've got one of the major faces of LC athletics that has been here for so many years.
Just a little bit.
I remember coming and visiting when I was Larry McConnell's senior.
Oh my!
In the class of 1992, and I was talking to my athletic director this morning about that. I was like, that was 29 years ago that I used to come over almost daily. Larry'd send me over for something almost daily or at least a couple times a week. So LCSC's Kai Fong joining us here live in the station. How are you tonight, sir?
Well, thanks for having me here. It is always great to be here and still at LC.
Yeah, 33 years with the Warriors. I was looking up some of your stuff. You helped restart the women's program way back in '89 and have been here ever since. Took over the men's team right after there. You are so busy because not only are you working with both the men and women's team for the college, but you're basically running that tennis center, and you have forever. I mean, I was there taking lessons from you 25 years ago myself. So, I mean, you're always there. How have you been able to do it for so long?
Oh, well, because I think this place has given me a life. I mean, when it's your life, then you tend to do it all the time, know. And because of folks like you all coming through and having fun there. I mean, when I see kids and people having fun, it's, what a nice place to be.
Yes, absolutely.
How many student athletes do you think that has crossed your doorstep coming in and out of your office? I mean, you look at the 33-year career, how many of them come back and chat with you on a regular basis or come by and say hi or just come in to play a match with you or something? How is it to see those old students come in and visit?
Wow, that's so rewarding because, just like I said, sometimes they come back. I just had one come back from Brazil about 20-something years ago. She just showed up because she was in Spokane, and she said, well, I want to come back to the college again, and she dropped by. And so I'm very thankful that people still stop by to see me, And I think it's because they've after 20-something years, they forgot what kind of nightmares they've gone through with me. Time has lapsed, and they still think tennis is a fun thing. And those that come back dressed to play, I get on the court with them. I mean, it's fun to get back on the court with them.
Yeah, I still have memories of Kai running me back and forth on the court. Just nice, easy volleys, but just enough to make me sprint back and forth for 10 minutes straight and going, oh, there you go. Now I'm going to win the point, and now you got to run a lap. Go for it.
No, you guys have lots of energy to run, so.
Yeah, I don't know. You took it all. I don't know where it all went, but I don't know if I could do a point anymore at this point. So I want to talk about this year, and what I love about the way that with your style of coaching and the way you prep your teams is you don't take it easy. And you're an NAIA school, but you're out there playing Idaho and Boise State, and you're looking at the teams this year. They're very young, and you're out there giving them the best kind of competition you can, and it can only make them better. And I love seeing that from you.
I mean, first of all, we'll play anybody who wants to play us. I mean, because it's tennis, and every chance you get to play a match, you get to grow.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard because when you play some of the better teams, you get beat up, and if you don't take it the right way, it could be very demoralizing. But thankfully, the players kind of understand that, and they go, okay, this is going to make us better, and they do want to get better, and so it's helpful. I mean, we can't get better without playing matches. We can practice all we want, but the matches is what gets us to the next stage in the development. And so it's nice to see when we get to play, especially like a weekend, we play a series of matches. Wow, match after match, back to back, we get to see the improvement of what they need to do.
Yeah, and the men's team playing Boise State and Seattle University this Saturday. So, like you're saying, a lot of tennis for them. How hard has it been to be able to make these matches with all the COVID stuff going on? I know the women played 2 weeks ago and right now aren't scheduled to play for another couple weeks. How hard has it been to try to fill out a schedule this year?
Oh, it's been very challenging because each school has their own protocol, and some are allowing their teams to play. Some schools are, and some are not. So those are the ones that the ones we have on the schedule are ones that are able to come up with some protocol to play. And I'm thankful that our administration has made it possible for us to play, and all the behind the scenes things that they got to get through to make this happen for us. I mean, it's mind blowing what has to be done. So we're appreciative of the opportunity for sure. So,
well, we look here and we talk about all your accolades, and I'm looking here. NAIA Region 1 Coach of the Year 4 times, 2006 Wilson ITA NAIA Coach of the Year. What's your biggest accolade that you could say that means the most to you that you've taken away from all your years coaching for LCSC?
I think you guys touched it a little bit. I think the opportunity to have the players coming back and saying hi to me, sending me a text message or an email sometimes. Hey, coach, how are you doing? On WhatsApp. I mean, that's like the best. People still willing to stay in touch. I mean, I got players now that when I first started, and they said, I'm thinking of maybe I'll, when I retire, I'll come back and help you, with the team. I mean, little things like that. I mean, sometimes the accolades that you say that, the coach of the year and all that, I think is because it was my turn and, they had nobody to give it else to, so they said, okay, here, just give it a Kai.
Well, you said the R word there, and I just cannot see retirement in your future. I just, 33 years, and you say retire, I just never, when you think of LC, for me growing up in this area, there was two people. It was Ed Jeff and Kai Fong. I mean, those were the names around here, when you, in the late 80s, early 90s, those were the two big names here. If you were anybody, you knew who those two guys were. So, I mean, to have your name out there in LCSC lore, I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people have asked whether, I mean, they're still surprised I'm still here. So, so that means I'm thinking of, a lot of people want me to retire.
No.
So, but no, it's still great here. It's still fun. I mean, it's hard to just know when I would really do it. So
the one thing I've really noticed looking at the history of the tennis teams here at LC is you guys have been fantastic at being diverse, from players from different countries and ethnicities. How do you find these players and get them to come to LC?
Wow, I think the players find us.
Yeah,
I think through social media, through the websites now, that they're able to send out mass emails, and one of the things that I'm very thankful and grateful for is former players making recommendations. They say, hey, coach, I got a player for you. He's going to be a good fit. And just for them to say that, it's like golden. It's like, I don't need to see you play. I mean, someone is telling me that they fit this program because they've gone through it. They've gone through the paces. They know what I look for. They know what this kid, whether they're a good fit or not. I mean, things like that is so valuable. I mean, my goodness, I can't thank them enough for that.
And like I said earlier, you have a very young squad, both on the women's team and what was it? The men's had 5 freshmen on
Yes.
it, or 5 people that debuted this year. Who has stood out so far? Like, who do you think is going to be your top, either male or female? Because, like I said, you have plenty of people that are going to be here for years, and you're definitely put them through the ringer with some really tough matchups. So you've got to hope that by junior, senior years, they're battle tested and ready to go. Who do you think is going to step up for you? It's okay. Nobody listens, so you can play favorites.
I know. No. I mean, all of them have been stepping up in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
They all improve at their own rate. If they want to stay in the program, they know they're going to improve, and you got to work on it. But right now, the person that kind of stands out the most is, it's going to be my freshman from Japan, Itaru.
I have a class with him. I always wanted to talk to him, but we're always with all of the COVID stuff and the Zoom stuff. He's on Zoom and I'm in class, or the opposite. But I've been seeing his name and I look at the reports, and I want to chat him up about the program, because again, I haven't played tennis in 15 years myself. But that's good to hear that he's right up there.
Yeah, it's super kid. I mean, with that culture and all, they're very respectful,
Mm-hmm.
hardworking, and he wants to do well. I mean, he's very mild-mannered off the court, but boy, when he's on the court, you won't. I mean, he's just everywhere. He's hitting hard. And today, one of the expressions from his teammates watching him hit was, "Coach, how is that possible?" When you hear that from a teammate, you got to go, okay, he must have something. How is that possible? So
almost has like the it factor kind of already at a young age as a freshman. So
right, and you wouldn't know just watching him and all that, But like today, I mean, it's so fun to see all the kids. I mean, the challenge to the men's team has been, we do a bridge run every year. We run the 2 bridges, and there's a certain time and mark that they need to meet. So they haven't met that, but today they all said, okay, we're going to get it done today. And they all did. I mean, this is the first time, in a long while that everybody made the time, and not only made the time, they broke it by by a lot of minutes, which means that they are, they do have the capability and ability to do that. And it's nice to see them understand that, hey, if you have it, you got to use it.
Now, are you still doing all the youth programs and stuff that you used to do?
We're still doing it, and we've downscaled it because of COVID.
Right.
But we're going to try to start it in a bigger scale as soon as we can. So it's nice to have whenever we do kids programs, we get kids coming into play. I mean, that's what keeps the place going too, to see the next generation of high school players here. So we're just not doing that enough at the moment, and still a lot of people are a little hesitant of coming back.
Right.
To an indoor facility, but we have also the protocols in place, and try to one of the big things is making sure people wash their hands before they when they enter the facility. And then they're masking up, of course, but not when they're playing. But I certainly like to see that we get more kids back in here for sure.
I know it was huge when I was here. You opened the door to the all of the high schools. I mean, like I said, I bring up Larry McConnell as the late Larry McConnell, as he's passed away this past year. But the one thing for me, I remember you always opening up your doors to the high school teams and letting them come in and practice and different times. And I remember one practice we had over here, and it was huge to have you actually out there with Larry coaching. And I know you had just finished up, and we were over here, and you were going around to each court, just even talking with everybody that was struggling or anything. And it was just like 1 or 2 minutes. Hey, just try this and move on. And it was like a totally different idea. I mean, I made the transition to playing doubles, and that's what I did when I was my senior year. Is I was a doubles player, and it was just taking those little snippets that was 1 or 2 minutes. And that's one thing I remember, as much as I can 30 years ago to come in. But what do you what do you like more teaching? Do you like to teach the double side of it or the single side of it? Because the things you said to me, I remember when playing, it made so much more sense, and things that I could adjust my game, and it was just, crazy to think about. Which one do you like to teach a little bit more, singles or doubles?
I think all of them. I mean, I just, appreciate hearing that it did help you. I mean, sometimes I do wonder, God, do any of these things help anyone?
We did. Mike Barkoff and I ended up doing extremely well at that time. It was Frontier League, when we were still part of Frontier League. But yeah, I mean, it was so many just little memories like that.
Yeah, being on the court. I mean, I gotta give a lot of kudos to Larry McConnell. I was just following in his footsteps, watching him how he's handling the kids and all. I mean, he had way more experience than I did, and so watching him interact with the kids was a big thing for me. I mean, Larry was one of the first people that I met here in the Valley with tennis. He started the Kazari's tournament. I don't know if you remember that, and. So after the first year, he kind of said, well, I think it's, I don't think we can keep this up. And so he offered, and I took it over. And then it's been running since until last year when COVID hit. So Larry McConnell has certainly been a very big part of my tennis life, for sure.
So my dad has a question.
Your dad has a question.
On Facebook. He's asking, are there any tennis programs for the junior high schools that you have going on right now?
Right now we haven't. I'm hoping to start something. We've been doing individual sessions with kids. Okay, so anyone that wants to still have tennis, they come in and we still can schedule that. But I don't have anything as a group yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm hoping to be able to start that up, middle of this month. I'm hoping, but I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that off yet. But it would be nice to get it back to where it was before, to get a lot of kids back in.
Yeah, because my son is in junior high, and I know baseball's kind of taken a weird schedule, and he was trying to get back into that. So I'm going to have to find him something else to do to run his energy off. So we'll have to look into that for sure.
Yeah, you got to just bring your son in. And,
right.
And I hope you...
Well, I'm just afraid because you'll get me back on the court, and I don't know if I can even move.
No, I would love it. I mean, to get you guys back on the court.
Well, how about that? This is what we'll do. Just for content for our show, Robert and I will face you 2-on-1 on the court, and you'll still smoke us. I'm sure.
I still have my racket that I used my senior, but I know darn good and well that I'd have to restring it. And I think Larry taught me how to restring them. I might have to restring it and everything just to even hit the ball anywhere close.
Come on in when you're ready. Come on.
What are you signing us up for here?
A little bit of exercise, but you got to do all the work. I'll just stand by the net. I'm the tall one. So.
There you go.
So we very much appreciate you taking the time. I know you had just gotten done with some lessons right before now, so we appreciate you coming in and chatting with us and going through some old memories and talking about the tennis team. We really appreciate it. It's been ages since I've seen you. So.
Oh man, of course. Thanks, Randy and Robert. You guys, thank you very much for having me here.
Of course.
I mean, it's hard, pass up something when they say, "Hey, Randy's, wanting you to come over." I said, "Sure," and didn't blink an eye. I mean, so no, it is nice. I mean, I want to thank you guys. I'm very thankful for my opportunity here at LC. This has given me a good life here. So.
Yeah, you were when we finally were able to do this show. You're one of the first people I knew I wanted to talk to, just because it's been so long. We're just kind of waiting for tennis to start, so we could talk about it. Because with everything going on, of course, now my mom wants to see that match too. So I think we're gonna have to get that going.
Oh, okay, we can do that.
I think I've put my foot in my mouth a little bit, but we're gonna get it done.
We can do it Facebook stream, and we can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you, you guys. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much.
You guys are doing a nice job. Thank you.
That is the tennis legend Kai Fong here at LCSC, and God, the memories.
Right.
29, 30 years ago, coming over and visiting with him. That man is full of such knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to have him sign that thing. I have to go. Now I have to go to the tennis center anyways.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make him sign it.
Not even doing my job. I want to once again thank Kai for coming in. Both my dad and mom were watching because I told them Kai was coming on the show, and they have great memories of basically going, "Here, Kai, run off Randy's energy as much as possible for summers. I remember old Fazari tournaments. I don't even want to know. I didn't even want to bring that up to figure out how many years the Fazari tournament's going on, because I swear I played in like the third one.
It was a long time because Fazari's tournament was going on. Larry had started and was running it when I was in school, so that tells you how long. And you say that name Fazari. If you ever had a chance to play racquetball with the Fazaris, I've had that opportunity a few times. Oh my God! No, not 30 years ago. But no, don't be laughing at that.
Probably not even wrong.
No, but it's probably pretty close.
My mom, he hasn't aged a day. What happened to you two? A lot has happened to us. You know what? Kai Fong happened to both of us.
Yeah, no, he ran us everywhere.
Absolutely not. He is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and just was really cool to have him on. And we're gonna have to do this, sir.
Oh yeah, we have to go over and visit and
at least go visit. I gotta get my son in there and get him going, because baseball he's too old for Little League, my son. Yeah. Because they base it off of farther in the year for Little League. So he's turning 13, so he doesn't even count for Little League anymore. What has happened?
Maybe I'll have to ask Alila, try to get her. I mean, she's 5 now. Get Alila out there. Do I put a racket in her hand? I know I'm putting a bowling ball in her hand. She's going to learn to bowl. I want to make her bowl. I'm going to have to do the same thing with Tori. Tori did the same thing. Tori was a left-hander, though. She does everything right-handed, but she bowls left-handed. I ain't going to change that. There's no way.
So the last thing on the tennis team, again, the men are off to a 2-1 start. They did take on the Idaho Vandals on Saturday. They lost 0-7, but there was a lot of really close matches. And again, it's a great learning experience for them. And like I said, they take on Boise State and Seattle University right here at the Tennis Center on Saturday. Women are off to a 2-3 start. They did win their last 2 matches, but again, they are not scheduled to take the court again in competition until March 21st, just because of how crazy everything is going. All right, let us move on to the NFL and have some fun debating where some people are going to go. But first, there's always NFL news to talk about. J.J. Watt, in the coolest way possible, showed where he was going, because there was like a Peloton fake account that tried to say where he was going to go. So he went to a gym and took a picture of himself doing his workout with an Arizona Cardinals shirt on and said, "Source me." Yeah. And that was how he broke the news. 2 years, $31 million, $23 million guaranteed. And my question to you, Robert, is seeing that kind of a contract for J.J. Watt, did Houston make a mistake releasing him and not just trading him? Because obviously if somebody's giving him over $15 million a year, you could have got something for him.
Yeah, I think he could have got something, but I think I'm more into you're going from a non-team, to another real. I think Arizona's still got a couple of years before they're going to be that team. I mean, the West is just way too dominant. So I'm like, he made the comment. I think I saw it on his Twitter page. He wants to go to where he's going to wear a ring, but I mean.
That is.
I don't see that. I don't see that happen. I don't see that happening for a couple of years, though. I still think
Arizona's a good team, but he went to Arizona because that was the best money he was going to get.
Probably.
That was the best contract he was offered. It had nothing else other than that. I mean, they're going to say the best things of, "Oh yeah, I'm going here to win titles." But if you're going to go and try to win titles, he was probably getting offers from Green Bay.
Oh,
that's
Green
a
Bay.
far better chance. He's probably getting offers from the Colts. That's a better chance to win the Super Bowl.
He probably even had chances at Pittsburgh too. I know Baltimore looked at him, but I know he wasn't going to move there. But as much as we wanted him to, but
and then while we're still waiting for these franchise tags to happen, what the ending is next week, so we'll have more news there. We are starting to see veterans get released to open up cap space or fix cap space holes. We saw Alex Smith of the Washington football team get released. Kyle Rudolph, the veteran tight end for the Vikings, is gone. And the surprising one was Kyle Vanoy, who had just signed a 4-year, $51 million contract, $30 million of it guaranteed. And after 1 year, the Miami Dolphins let him go today to save $10 million a year in the cap, which is going to, good for Vanoy in the end, because he still owed money from the Dolphins, and now he's free to sign with another team. So he's going to make double the money to go play somewhere else.
Yeah. here's $30 million where you're still owed. It just all I ever think about when I see something like that is Bobby Bonilla. I don't know why.
That's the greatest contract in all sports.
It's still. Every time I see somebody, if they release them, still have all this money guaranteed, and all I can think about is Bobby Bonilla and how many years he's getting paid for stuff that he did many moons ago.
And then Lois absolutely had a good birthday. It was very, very busy, but I got to go watch some LCSC Warriors on my birthday, so it ended up being really good. All right, let's get into it. Last week, you picked some names for us to debate where they were going to go in free agency. I picked 10 more for this week. 5 on the defense, 5 on the offense. Let's start with the defensive side, and let's start Leonard Williams, who was with the New York Giants. We both say he's moving.
Yeah.
He might not be old enough for my pick, but I believe because the Buccaneers are going to lose a couple of the defensive players that they will sign Leonard Williams.
And that would be a strong suggestion there. I think you're right on with that, but he's still got a lot of years in him. I think Seattle could easily be. I think that's the landing place for him. Seattle needs to up their line play a lot. They need to do something there, and I think that he might be a good fit out west. I can see either one of those teams happening.
How about Justin Simmons, the cornerback out of Denver?
Well, he's staying put. I don't think he's leaving.
I
think he just likes the defense set up, and it's almost for him in that area.
And if my other predictions are right, that's going to be a good defense. if Shaq Barrett goes there and Von Miller stays.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see if I'm right there.
I mean, 2 edge and a deep guy. I mean, that defense will get sick. They just need to find an offensive quarterback.
All right, let's look at your division rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Bud Dupree. He tore his ACL late in the season, so he might not sign for a little bit.
Right.
But where does he go?
So here's the thing. This is what I've been thinking about, and I thought about it all day today. I think he stays put. Hear me out.
Okay.
He stays put, but it's only for a year. The only reason why, like you said, with the injury, he's coming back. Yes, they're so far behind on cap space. They're one of the bigger teams that's got to move people, but I don't think he gets the number that he wants because of his injury. So I think maybe Pittsburgh signs him for that 1 year side. I think that's where he stays. And then next year, because he was on pace for huge numbers. What do you have? Right. 48 tackles or something.
He's having a good season.
Just before he got hurt, So I think that's what happens. He stays, but it's only for a year, and it's just to build up some money.
It makes sense if he wants to buy in for himself. I think Pittsburgh is dumping, and that's why I'm curious why Big Ben wants to stay, and maybe he won't want to stay after he sees all these people move. How about the New Orleans Saints? Trey Hendrickson, speaking of another team that has a lot of cap issues. I'm going to say he goes to the Buffalo Bills. They need some extra defensive help, and I think that's a really good fit for them.
And that would be a good spot, I think. But I don't know what it is, but I'm thinking that the West has got to build a little bit. I think the Raiders might be a good spot for him.
They got money.
They've got lots of money. That's the big one. And Hendrickson could sign for a 5 or 6 year deal, and I think that might be a smart thing. If he can find a team that'll offer him like a 5-year or a 6-year deal, I'd see him jump all over it. I just don't see him staying, especially with how much money that New Orleans has to move. And that's the bad thing. They have to move money, especially if he doesn't retire yet and he restructures his deal, which he's already said he's going to restructure. But, you keep Drew Brees and all that and yada, yada, yada.
Sound like he's going to stay. But...
I think he's going to go to work elsewhere. I'm just saying that for the wife,
Right. All right. And then I had a different defender here until I saw some information that was really curious to me. But how about Richard Sherman, former Seahawk, was playing for the 49ers? Where does he go?
I got him going to Cleveland.
Okay.
Just because one of the coaches that used to coach him there in San Francisco is the DB coach there in Cleveland. I think He's just looking for familiarity. The only thing bad is he is getting older. He's 30.
Yes.
I mean, and we say that at 32. I wish I was 32. Well, sometimes.
But he's still going to be at least a solid number 2.
Right. He's here's the thing that's different with him. Yeah, he's probably lost a step or two, but his mental game is still one of the best. Yeah, and that, you know, as much stupidity, and I say that he got a little crazy there at the end of his Seattle time, and
I mean, I don't know if he's got crazy. Seattle, he's very opinionated.
Well, yeah,
that's totally fine. I mean,
I think it's
sometimes you disagree with his opinion, and then you think he's a crazy person.
Yeah.
But and there's been times where I disagree with Richard Sherman, mostly because he thinks he was better than Darrell Revis, and that's about it. But I think he's a very smart guy. Obviously, he went to Stanford.
Right.
As you said, he's starting to get up there in age, but still has talent. I obviously, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know how he does with like the younger cornerbacks, if he's really good at helping build them up or not. But maybe that is where he is going to start seeing his role. And that is why, and you had brought up, you know, a former coach of his in Cleveland. How about Robert Sala, who was the main defensive coach for him in San Francisco with the New York Jets? I think he goes there and then helps. They just have a pretty young secondary. Marcus May is fantastic. Hopefully they're able to bring him back. And I think Richard Sherman would be a good fit as both just a mentor and a good cornerback for the Jets.
Well, it's like we said. I mean, he's got a great mental game, and how he studies from everything I've seen reports. You know, he studies really well in meetings and all that. I'd love to spend 5 or 10 minutes in those meetings to see what happens with some of these players, and it might change my opinion on how some people practice and how they spend their time. So I can see either one of those teams happening.
Let's move to the offense. I like that we're disagreeing a lot more this week. Let's go to the offense, and we'll do one offensive lineman, and that is the Green Bay Packers' Corey Linsley. Reports are coming out that Aaron Jones might get the franchise tag, which possibly means that Corey Linsley has to go.
Right.
Where does he end up going?
Well, they spent all that money on Bakhtiari in their lineman. I'm between two, and it's like the one report, I'm thinking, I think the Chargers could use him, but they've thrown out so many names. They even thrown out different places. But I kind of laughed about the one. He is an Ohio State guy, and they thought, well, maybe he'd be a good fit going to Jacksonville, where Urban Meyer's going, and then shifting the guy that they just paid 4-year deal to. The name slips my mind. They're in Jacksonville, but he did play some guard, so shifting things around and let Linsley be a center there at Jacksonville. So, do you make the connection with a former Buckeye, two Buckeyes there? I don't know. I'm going to say the Chargers.
Are you saying Justin Field goes to Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence goes to the Jets? Is that where we're going with that?
No, the Urban Meyer connection,
Yeah.
But I think it's
Fields. No. Come on, Jacksonville. It's perfect. It's a perfect place.
You still want that to happen.
No, I don't know. I want
Deshaun. I know.
Watson.
Yeah, but you got so much to give up too.
But I guess you would have to give up the number 2 pick to get Deshaun. I was going to say, but if you get Deshaun Watson, and then all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence is available at 2, the amount that you can get in that draft would be fantastic. But you'd have to give up the number 2 pick to get Watson.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say your Baltimore Ravens. We were talking last week. They need some offensive line help. We were talking off the air that you're saying they're okay at center right now, but Linsley's really, really good.
He's really good, and it's like I was telling you, the Baltimore does have 3 centers on their rosters. Yeah, they've had a couple of issues with Makari, also Sakura. I think they've done what they've got. They've got 3 guys there that have done decent. They're still young, so I don't see them making a huge change in that spot. I think I'm more scared about Brown leaving. And then what do you do? Ronnie Staley, all that whole issue. That's where I'm more focused on. I think where they're going to go look for a free agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Offensive linemen are difficult to figure out just because there's needs everywhere.
Well, and that's the thing. The other report I saw is that he was going to go to Miami. I mean, you imagine him playing right next to Jesse Davis? I mean,
Right.
that would be a great fit too. I mean, Jesse has bounced around so many different sides of the ball, or it's left side, right side, and I think he's found a spot where he was at playing right guard this year. So I'd be interested to see what happens.
Okay, we talked a lot of wide receivers last week. Let's hit a couple more because the wide receiver market's ridiculous this year.
Mm-hmm.
How about Will Fuller? Now, he is suspended for 1 or 2 games next year. I forget how many he had left that were left over from this year. But he's still a fantastic receiver, a great deep threat. Perfect to go on the other side of Devontae Adams. We've always said that Aaron Rodgers would do fantastic if he had those 2 great receivers. It's always been Devontae Adams and a couple misfits on the other side. You get Will Fuller out there, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, for me, Houston still got a little bit of money there. They're roughly $16 million. If the deal doesn't get done, because with Hopkins leaving, going to Arizona, I think that would have been a great spot, for Will to still continue to be the number 1 there. I just don't see Houston shell. I don't think they shell out enough money.
I don't know if Will Fuller is a good number 1 though.
He's a great number 2.
Yes.
Number 2 or even a slot guy. But I don't see him staying the number 1 guy. But I mean,
Will Fuller
Hopkins not there.
I mean, I'm not going to say Will Fuller is on the level of Tyreek Hill, but he's like Tyreek Hill, where he does his damage with the deep ball, and then you have to put the safety over the top for him, which opens the field for your number 1 or a good slot guy, which works perfect for Green Bay.
Yeah, I think both of us will see him move on. We both agree that Green Bay is probably the best place that he could go. But
now, obviously, it would work out with the Jets if they do get Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Put those 2 back together. How about Curtis Samuel up for the Panthers? Where do you see him going?
I think he makes a huge splash with Carson Wentz. He goes to Indianapolis.
Are you saying now T.Y. Hilton moves?
No, I think he stays there.
We get Hilton and Samuel there?
Yeah, one side or the other. X guy and a Y guy.
I'm going to have him go reunite with Ron Rivera at the Washington football team. And I'll have more reasons for that in a minute.
I already know why you think that.
Well,
so
they don't know.
Well, let's just jump there before we go to the other receiver.
The last one. All right. How about Cam Newton? I say he reunites with Ron Rivera. They did get rid of Alex Smith. Heineke, I know they just gave an extra contract to, but I don't think he's for sure the guy. So you get Cam Newton there, let them battle it out for the starting role. Once again with Rivera, you get Newton and Samuel reuniting there. I think it just makes a lot of sense.
I agree, and I think it's because also you can see little pieces of Cam Newton in Heineke, and I think Cam, if you can get
hopefully you're
as
talking
a
early
movie,
Cam.
early Cam,
Early
and
Cam.
moving him around and all that, where he was able to run and get the ball.
I don't think I want to be a quarterback and be mentioned as, he kind of reminds me of Cam Newton now.
In his early year.
Injured all the time, it looks like it hurts him to throw the football right now.
In the early time when he was able
All right.
to run around, I can see that happening a little bit, which would be great. So I would hope that would be the great thing. So I mean, you've got 2 pluses. You've got the reuniting of Rivera and that. So I could see that it'd be an easy fit.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so the last one on here, Juju Smith-Schuster. Does he get out of your division?
I sure hope so, because I can't stand him in my division.
I think you love him in his division because he hasn't been that good.
No, I mean,
at least this last year he wasn't very good.
No, he wasn't, but it's just that attitude for that team, and so it's a little rough. But I think Juju goes to Miami.
Okay.
Give to another threat somewhere.
I think we both agree that Miami is going to get a good wide receiver.
A great wide receiver.
I have Miami going with Allen Robinson. So I will not have Juju also going to Miami. I want Allen Robinson with the Jets, but I don't think that happens. So I think Juju Smith-Schuster ends up as a New York Jet. Because, again, that's another team that I believe is going to get one of these top-notch wide receivers. Right. You and I have just jumbled them differently.
Right. Baltimore's is going to give Allen. So that's the main thing.
All right, let's finish off the spring college football here real quick. As we were talking about, Idaho defeating Eastern Washington 28-21. Weber State beats Idaho State 49-21. And next week on Saturday at 11 a.m., you get Idaho State at Southern Utah. At noon, you get UC Davis at Idaho. And at 1:05 p.m., you get Northern Arizona at Eastern Washington. Again, I'm loving this spring football.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to watch it other than some highlights this week just because I was doing stuff. I got nothing going on Saturday. Let's watch some football.
There you go. And Ty Graham, did you know Ty Graham transferred from Idaho? He's back home playing for Eastern now. So he's playing, so we followed him as a Cheney Blackhawk. He came down to Idaho, played for Idaho, and he started as a sophomore. And now he's back up as a senior up at Eastern. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Tough with the loss, but Idaho jumps out with their first win.
Undefeated?
Yeah.
You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on KLCZ 88.9 FM Lewiston. Currently 43 degrees outside. It was a beautiful day out there today. It's been nice that the wind has kind of died down finally.
Yeah. I didn't wear my jacket in here tonight. I stood at the soccer field there for a few minutes before I came over, and it was like no sweatshirt on, but this morning it was on a little bit different. But
yeah, but we're getting there, and Friday is supposed to be the warmest it's been in a while, so that's great. Obviously, if you're listening to us on the radio, we very much appreciate it. But you can go to the R&R Sports Report page on both Facebook and YouTube. Give us a like or follow or whichever one you need to do on there. And if you watch there live, you can comment just like Lois and Eric and my mom and dad and Haley and your wife have been able to do, and chat with us and have a good time. We like to comment with you guys and have a nice back and forth. And sometimes you get a live high school football game on our radio station when things go awry and go crazy. So You never know what you're going to see on the R&R Sports Report page. Also check out the KLCZ 88.9 FM Facebook page. Just search that in your search bar.
LCSC students, did you know there is an organization on campus that wants to pay you for your writing? Well, there is. The Pathfinder newspaper is always looking for talented student writers to join their team for coverage of campus comings and goings, LC Warrior sports, and other news that affects students here on campus. Stop by the sub 201 or email the Pathfinder at lcmail.lcsc.edu for more information or to join the team. As I was sitting out in the lobby waiting for you, I was a little early as I left the field and came over. Man, there was a lot of people in and out of that room there a little while ago going into so that's a good place. Make sure you go to and check them out there at the Pathfinder. And it's great to see kids in here moving around. There was a lot of kids as I was sitting there waiting, just back in, conversing, laughing, and you get to hear them downstairs as they were having a good time. So it's great to see that happening back here at LC.
All right, let's look. Speaking of LC, let's look at their schedule coming up this week. A little bit of a quieter week than we've had, which is okay because it has been insanity as far as doing the LCSC schedule. But I said earlier on the show, track and field is in South Dakota this week for the NAIA Indoor Track and Field National Championships. I believe that kicks off in full tomorrow. I think the women are start tomorrow. The men start on Thursday, and then it'll go all weekend. I was talking to Riley, who is part of one of the relay teams. She's in my sports comm class, and then she was helping out with one of the baseball teams. And just their travel this week is ridiculous, right in the middle of school. So good luck to them trying to balance all of that out. And some fantastic, talented runners on that team, especially on the men's side. Just seeing pictures, and I'm blanking on that kid's name. We bring him up every single week. But every time I see pictures of him, he's so far out in front of everyone else.
Well, yeah, just seeing the picture that's on the current LCSC page, you see him right there. Health. Isn't it?
No, it's Olsen. Nicole Olsen.
Yeah.
I was blanking on his name, and I apologize, but he has just been so good and winning every event that he even looks at right now. So excited to see those results, and we'll have those next week. Again, we were talking to Kai. The men's tennis have a doubleheader on Saturday at 9 a.m. They take on Boise State. 1 p.m. they take on Seattle University right here at the tennis center. Baseball has a couple of doubleheaders this week. Saturday and Sunday they take on Corbin. On Saturday it's noon and 3 p.m. starts. On Sunday, which I will be there for those games, 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. So 4 big baseball games again before they go on the road in their next series. So last chance you can take out the Warriors here at home, and hopefully they have fans by then, but I haven't heard anything specific just yet. And the golf gets going next week at Oregon Tech Invitational in Eagle Point, Oregon, Monday and Tuesday. Both the men and women will hit the links, and I think that is every sport.
Yeah,
has now started once they get going.
Nice.
I believe the golf teams were the last ones we were waiting on to get their season going, and now we'll just have everything. And then I brought it up at the top of the show. I want to just remind you, the NAIA basketball tournament bracket reveal is on Thursday night on the NAIA Facebook page. We'll figure out where both the women and men will be seated, who they will play, what times our games are. We both expect the women and men to play at home, as Lewiston is one of the sites, but we don't know what time or who just yet. So that is your LCSC schedule. And now I want to talk, we were making jokes about, you could see random football here on our page as Robert covered for a schedule craziness as you had your first Clarkston Bantam game.
Yeah, first Bantam game happened this last weekend, and shifting with COVID and talking with both Shannon Wilson, athletic director for Clarkston, also Bryson By, and even talking with Chris Franklin, for the athletic director for Pullman. You know, we gotta be flexible this year, and it's going to be a year of going up. Who you play, who you don't play, and this one was a little crazy. Is the early week we were supposed to play North Central, that got changed on Thursday afternoon, and it become you're now traveling from having a home game to you're going to University High School and going to go up and play Shadle Park, and so Clarkson started off their season with a tough loss as they go down to Shadle Park 26-14. Just couldn't get the offense going until the second half, and the 1-2 punch for Shadle Park, Ryan Schmidt and Logan Doyle, both receiving or running back / quarterbacks. They both threw quite well and was able to run the ball. Both of them pick up 2 quick first quarter touchdowns, and Shadle Park jumps out very quick, and then Owen Burgos, who the D-back for Shadle Park, had 2 big picks there. Clarkson looking for a full-time quarterback as Caden Frazier, now a freshman up at University of Idaho. So they're bouncing back and forth between Nick Schofield, and they have a transfer that did play some junior high for Soton, but they are now going with Terrell Lawson back and forth between him and Nick. They are going to be playing that type of offense, according to Coach Bly. That's the way it's gonna look for probably the entire season. He did play at Beaverton, did Lawson. It was nice to finally see them get on the scoreboard. Nick Schofield was able to take one in for 3 yards, and then a long 35-yard touchdown pass from Lawson to Misael Perez. I call him the Missile, that you remember calling his name a couple times. Couple big names. One major name, no Eddie Berglund. Eddie got hurt about the 5th or 6th play. Didn't see him the rest of the game. Talking to Coach Bly today, and also Shannon Wilson, they said nothing major to worry about. He's getting looked at, but I couldn't get anything else there out of him. Next game's going to be this Saturday against East Valley, 1 p.m. tentative time, and that'll be over at Adams Field.
We can hope.
and depending on how many people we get to let in, they're only letting in 200 total. That includes workers, all that, but we have to feel lucky because we're the only GSL school that is allowing fans to come in. So, knock on wood that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I got to check out the second half of that game,
Mhm.
as I'd gotten home from the Warriors and wanted to check in and see how everything was going, and started messing around and being your little producer and putting out the comments and stuff and having fun. But full credit to Clarkston. Again, how weird this year was going, and they go down 26-0, and it's just looking ugly. And then that fourth quarter, they never gave up, and they started getting that little bit of a rhythm, got the passing game going a little bit. I just love the fact that even down 26 in a game, your first football game in well over a year, and you think you might get down on yourself, especially young high school kids, never stop trying and played it really, really well. And it didn't quite make it a game per se, but definitely outplayed Shadow Park in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, as Nick Schofield has been on the roster for a couple of years. He's that guy that's coming in, but that was Caden's backup, and you're used to having him out there, and not knowing a lot about Terrell Lawson. All I know is from everything that Coach Baez said, he is a fast runner, and he is going to make things happen with his legs. So I'm looking forward to the next few games with them. As like we said, we're just playing GSL opponents, so we've got East Valley on Saturday. So we jump ahead over to about 5 miles south, and we go down to Asotin, and Asotin gets their first win of the year, and they knock off Davenport 14-6. Jack Gilmore had 51 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Jonah Geckner also with a touchdown. The thing I saw in that game and chatting with Brian is Asotin had a total of 136 yards total offense, and they held Davenport to under 100 total offense. So great game. But, it's like, Coach Bai and I talked, everybody's still very new of what's going on in short practice time. And so a lot of
short practice time, and you have to split things up. I follow the Asotin football team on Facebook, and they're always talking about how their practices get moved around all the time. And then you had all the crazy snow that we had once you could practice, so that really messed things up. So it's going to take a couple weeks, I think, before any of these things really kind of get into any kind of a groove.
Yeah, by far 100%. But I think the one that has gotten the groove already has been Pomeroy. As Pomeroy, the Pirates, they have run out to a 2-0 lead, and they walked all over Pinnett, who was another 1B Northeast Southeast League opponent, and won 82-0.
When does that become 2 wins?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, they've already played one game earlier, so
that's what I'm saying. But this should count as 2 wins.
You would think so. You would think so. As much as they crushed them, and then the stats even get better. I mean, Pomeroy outgains Pinnett 465 yards to 48. Trent Green, the junior quarterback, rushed for 228 yards on 15 carries, had 4 touchdowns. Jesse Mings, also a running back there for Pomeroy, 8 carries, 110 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Pomeroy led 54-0 at halftime. So, and here are your point totals for the quarter. These are the ones that blew my mind. 30 points in the first, 24 in the second, 22 in the third, and 6 in the fourth quarter. So, be interesting as Pomeroy then goes on and they play Rosalia tomorrow, 2:00. And it'll be interesting to see how Pomeroy handles Rosalia.
As you said, we have Clarkston soccer going on. You said you checked out a little bit of the game today.
Yeah, I got to go up there for a few minutes and walked around, talked to Pete Williams and a few of the others, Johnsons, and they were around. Lady Bantams come out, and they trailed in the first half. They were down 1-0 in the first half, but then come back. When you know all the scoring happens after I leave.
That's soccer. I've always told people I try to get into soccer. I'm nothing against soccer. It's a wonderful game.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I sit down and try to watch soccer, no goals will happen. I'll get up and get a drink and miss a goal.
Yeah.
Every time. Get up, go to the bathroom. Oh, missed a goal. If you want something to happen in soccer, call me, have me turn it on, and then have me walk away.
Well, I think I left at the 17-minute mark in the second half, and so I told Pete, hey, let me know, we got to get over here and get set up, and he texted me, he says, well, Bantam's tied up. I'm like, okay, cool. Chastity Snyder hits on a penalty kick at 10:35. So I missed it by about 5 minutes, go figure. And that was in the second half. And then Luella Skinner, right about 4 minutes later at the 6:42 mark, scores her first. And so the Bantams go on to win 2-1 over East Valley today. And they will play again up at West Valley on Thursday. So, again, lots of sports going on. Right,
so much
volleyball going on tonight at Kramer Gym. So lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on to the NCAA basketball, as Gonzaga now the only undefeated team. We talked about Baylor losing this last weekend, as they are now 24-0, 15-0 in conference, now going into the WCC tournament. I believe they play Monday in the semifinals, but they beat Santa Clara 89-75 and then beat Loyola Marymount 86-69 while shooting 58% on the game. Only 21 rebounds. Is that?
That was crazy when I read that number today. So it was nuts to think about that. But, I think the bigger one is what Corey Kispert has meant to this team. Between Corey Kispert and Drew Timme, Corey scored 85 points in the last 4 games and has only one game the entire season that he didn't shoot double digits. And that was 8 points, and that was the game right after Christmas. So, I mean, it's just crazy. And him, along with Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs, Mark Few, all of them will have that next week, as the WCC announced just a little bit ago. All of their award winners. We'll get to that next week.
So your top 5 right now in the men's side: Gonzaga's 1, Michigan moved up to number 2, Baylor dropped to 3, Illinois up to 4, and Iowa up to 5. Well, that was until today, when Baylor wins as we said at the top of the show, wins an overtime game against number 6 West Virginia, 94-89, and number 2 Michigan fell hard to number 4 Illinois, 76-53. The Fighting Illini, that's an easy word for me to say. They just crushed the Wolverines in this game, and it wasn't even that close at times. A couple other scores for you: Alabama beats Auburn 70-58. Texas beats Iowa State 81-67. Number 18 Texas Tech beats TCU 69-49. How about Arkansas, number 12, putting up over 100 points, 101-73 over South Carolina. And going on right now, number 23 Purdue and number 25 Wisconsin in a good one. Purdue up currently 34-30 early in the second half.
Yeah, we look ahead. Gonzaga Women, they've moved up 3 spots in the standings, as they are now number 18, but they're still sitting at the top of the WCC with a 2.5 game lead over BYU, now with a 21-3 record. And they crushed both of their opponents this week. They ran all over Pepperdine 95-49 and Loyola Marymount 77-39. And they go ready to go into their tournament play happening. So they won't play until the final game in Vegas on Monday at 11 a.m. So good luck to the Lady Bulldogs. We look there. I was going to say, we look there, the WSU. I mean, what has happened they start on fire 9-0 and then.
Well, yeah, they didn't play anybody. They're 9-0. They were doing the opposite of what Kai Fong does.
Yeah, it was crazy. And you look at the leading hoop guy over the last couple of games for WSU has been a freshman, TJ Bamba. Led the Cougars with 12 points the other night in the 69-53 loss against Arizona. But Bantam, 19 minutes, only 3 points off the bench. And then he does not play against Arizona State on Saturday. Jazz Koonk and Noah Williams each with 15 points. Rodman with 10 off the bench. But they've already canceled the game for yesterday against Arizona State because of COVID issues again. But now they're in that predicament of, do we make it through the Pac-12 tournament? We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it's going to get really interesting to see which teams make these conference tournaments, which don't. We were talking about it last week, where people were thinking Gonzaga and BYU might sit out the WCC, and that just messes things up with the automatic qualifiers and stuff. It does look like that Gonzaga is going to play in those games. I'm more curious about the Washington State ladies. as they were able to beat the Huskies by 9, 61-52. They're right on that bubble. It was nice to see them get the win this week, as they have kind of been struggling the last couple of weeks. Last I saw, they were one of the last 4 teams in, according to the bracketology on ESPN.
That is still correct. They've got North Dakota, Michigan State, Washington State, and Notre Dame are the last 4 that'll get in. So it'll be interesting.
You got to think they've got to win at least 2 games in the Pac-12 tournament. That starts tomorrow. They play Utah with a 5 p.m. tip for their first game in that Pac-12 tournament. And again, if they lose that game, I don't think they make the tournament.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Woohoo! Let's get the bells and whistles out for this next one. Idaho Vandals pick up their first win on Friday night. They knock off Montana by 5, 74-69. And I texted you as soon as I saw it. I was like, look, they're not going to go with an offer.
Now what happens if they make it to the tournament and they run the tournament?
Oh, that'd be nuts. That'd be crazy.
They win like 5 games on the year and they're in the tournament.
Can
you even qualify for your own conference tournament with 1 win?
Do you really think they'll get past?
No,
some
of course
those guys?
not. Of course not.
And there's no way.
It'd be funny.
It'd be hilarious, but they still got a couple of games coming up. They're at Montana next week, this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. So also the Idaho Vandal ladies, they are now second in the Big Sky. They're 1 game back behind ISU and Idaho State, who is sitting 17-3 right now. The Vandals last 3 games have been canceled due to COVID protocol, and that was what you and I were talking about just a few minutes ago. 3 big games for the Vandals, and that could really affect going into their playoff time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Lady Vandals here.
Yeah, Idaho and Idaho State are both in a must-win situation as far as getting into the women's tournament. The Big Sky is not seen as a conference that's going to get 2 bids.
No,
for sure. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do. Again, I'm rooting to see the Vandals, the Cougars, and the Bulldogs all make the women's tournament. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see if they can get some representation. I mean, you and I have been on them all year long. They've played quite well. They've kept Idaho State right there. So, and we finally have our man in the studio, as we've been wanting to get him in here for a long time. We just finished talking a couple of minutes ago, as this young man was a Clarkston alum. We just finished doing Clarkston football a minute ago. He was a 4-year starter for the Bantams, 3-year starter. 3 years. I got to correct myself. 3-year starter for the Bantams, and followed in the baseball realm. And we just talked about Nick Schofield and Terrell Lawson. Trying to find Bantams quarterback this year. As Caden Frazier followed you up, we have the one and only Clarkston alum, Bantam, an LCSC baseball player, Mr. AJ Davis. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's been so long. We and Randy and I talked. We got blessed that we got to see you in your high school prime playing baseball. How is it to be out there playing on the college level?
It's amazing. Like you said, I played football in high school, and so I also love baseball. And I just thought that was a better fit for me. And so it's basically a dream come true to me, especially playing for the hometown or like the home valley. So, I mean, it's a great experience so far.
Was that a hard choice for you when it came to college time?
Oh, for sure. I love football. Football was always one of my main loves. And but I also love baseball, like I said. But it was definitely a tough choice. My dad definitely had a couple factors into it because I wanted to be like him, and he's still coaching at Clarkston High School. But it was kind of tough.
Were you getting offers to play football elsewhere? Or?
Not many. I went to a lot of camps.
Yeah.
Showed some interest in some people and some coaches, but other than that, it was more of just the baseball.
Yeah, the big one for me is we got to watch both sides of it. We called the football games, and then, then jump over to baseball and watch the evolving of AJ coming from, you've sprouted a lot since your sophomore year. I have to admit that. I mean, you've come a long way. What kind of things did you do to get yourself ready to make that change between both sports?
I think the biggest thing was when I was a sophomore. I was like $150 maybe, still starting at quarterback, and that kind of scared me a little bit, scared my dad a little bit, scared the coaches. And so there was a time when I needed to put work into the weight room and started eating a lot more, but mentally it was a struggle for me to get to where I wanted to be. However, put my mind to it, and I transitioned to the college level to playing baseball. It's more of my kind of structure, body build, and it's paid off so far, and I just love it. So
how was that transition to go from high school baseball to college baseball? Because you were thrown right in there, you and Riley both.
Yes.
Local boys, and all of a sudden there you guys were as freshmen playing second and short.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition as far as talent level or preparation level? How was that?
It was easier than I thought it was going to be. Because even in the summertime, I'd go play summer baseball, but competitive, that was a competitive level, but not transitioning to the college. And especially when me and Riley and some of the other freshmen got thrown into the fire, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. We knew the coaches and the coaching staff, how hard they were and what they expected out of everyone. And, but it was a little tough. He threw us in the fire, and he said, you either survive or you don't. And it's the best thing for us,
right?
For sure.
Right, because you jump in there, you see 38 games that freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
26 of which, or 24 of which, you played at shortstop, and the couple at second base. But now you've started to play more second base. How have you and Riley become a great combination? What do you guys spend a lot of time working on each other, because you were foes? We talked about that. Him being a Lewiston guy, me, Clarkston guy. We talked about that. And you've had competitions against each other. How did you guys come together and really work and start to gel for that double play combo?
Just like you guys said, Lewiston, Clarkston, rivals. And so, I really didn't know Riley that well in high school. I never really hung out with him until our senior year. We started playing Legion baseball. We made it to Shelby World Series for American Legion. And ever since then, we became roommates that next year. I was playing shortstop, he was playing second base, and there's just a lot of reps between us. And then this year we finally made the transition to switch, and we just connected. We've been roommates ever since, best friends. And so, it's just all clicked.
Has that been a tough transition to try to figure out who was going to be short and who was playing second? Because I remember calling your high school games, you were always playing short. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, when you the senior year doing Legion, Riley was playing short and you were at second. Has that been a difficult decision as far as who would want to go where?
Not really. It was more of just everyone's at the start of the fall, everyone's kind of playing where they think they'll be, and so just the competition thing. So my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I was at shortstop, and then this year had an arm injury, had bicep tendonitis, and so that was the week before we went to Arizona and played. And so they said, let's try you out at second base, shorter throw, help you out a little bit. And then came back, and then that's kind of where they put me. Riley's been doing so well over there. And so, why?
He was making some great plays this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, how are you doing? Because obviously you didn't play at all this weekend.
I'm doing good, a lot better. Had a knee injury, and so had to sit out this past weekend. But other than that, first day is back tomorrow, and I'm really excited to get back to it.
So we should be able to see you this weekend?
Yes.
I was disappointed. I've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. I'm starting to do some PA work for the Warriors, and here I am. I'm like, all right, I got to call AJ Davis' name again, because it's been a few years since high school, and I didn't even get to do it the whole weekend. So it'd be nice to be able to do it. I'll see you on Sunday, hopefully, and get to play games. I just want to talk about how you've been able to mature as a player. We're looking at some of your stats throughout college, and obviously you were a fantastic fielder in high school. You kind of struggled a little bit as far as the errors went the first couple of years. You kind of expect that, but the thing that struck out to me, you had 29 errors your first 2 years in 83 games. Now, obviously last year was a shorter season, and you've only played a few games this year. 26 games the last 2 seasons, just the one error. What have you done to really fix that problem?
I just think mental preparation and visualization.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like reading books now, and I kind of just have studied multiple players in the MLB, picked brains of different coaches, players that I've played with in summertime, and they kind of just teach me new things. I try to be a sponge and soak up as much things I could do and to help better my game. But I think it started off with my mental preparation and my mental thoughts and everything like that to help me keep going.
So a couple of things as we were looking at your stats so far at the college level, you're 293 hitter. I mean, those are great numbers for just getting and playing. But a couple of them, 40 walks to 34 Ks. What can you say about I mean, that just tells you how good of an eye you have at the plate.
I just think it starts off with our approach. Our coaches drill it into our minds that we need to see the ball 3/4 of the way out of the plate and up. And so, I mean, if you can just lock that down and be selective with your pitches earlier in the counts, I think you'll have more success. And so I think that has definitely helped me. I bought into the approach. I bought into the plan. And I just be selective with it and hit the pitches I can hit gap to gap. And other than that, you can lay off pitches and you can draw the walks. And walks are just as good as hits.
Absolutely. There was a game this year that we talked about when it happened. I believe it was against Arizona Christian. You guys made their pitchers throw almost 200 pitches in a 9-inning game. And I just absolutely love that about that team and how patient you guys are. It was really fun watching it from the press box on Sunday. And like we're sitting there going, I haven't called a name forever because the bats go so long and you guys are fighting so well. So it's fantastic to see that. And one of the stats that really stood out to me, you've been hit by as many pitches as you've struck out. Mm-hmm. You have 34 hit by pitch and you struck out 34 times.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing baseball. There's a little white thing coming at you. It's not going to hurt that bad. So I like to crowd the plate.
Well, you were really good about that in high school too. You got hit a lot in high school. I forget who was batting right after you, but you guys were always battling out. We had those stats all the time because it was either who got hit the most or which cars got hit the most. Yeah. Those were the two stats we like to call.
I'd say you had Beeler behind you at one point. You had Rimmelsbacher behind you at one point. So there was a lot of different things. So to go back to the eye thing, did it help? And I know do you miss it, but did it help with you being a pitcher at the high school level? Do you think that attests to what you're doing in the college games? Because you're not throwing the ball anymore from the mound and have to stress your body that way. Do you still use that mental thought there as you're at the plate?
Oh, for sure. I just know, like, how would I throw to myself? And I know what a pitcher is trying to do to me. And first, it comes down to what type of hitter you are. I'm not that home run hitter. I'm not the guy that's going to always put it off the wall or anything like that. Like, I'll be the guy that'll get on base, draw the walks, hit a double here and there. But, I mean, I just see the competitiveness when you're at the plate compared to when you're pitching. There's two different games, and I feel like I've been on both sides. And so I think that has definitely helped me know, okay, I think that this guy's going to throw this pitch right here because I would do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have done that before. Sometimes that gets you in trouble guessing pitches, but I like to stay neutral. But there's also that thought in the back of the head where you're like, okay, this guy's coming with something.
So you're talking about obviously doing a lot more studying of the game and reading. If you had to compare yourself to a major leaguer, whether past or present or wherever, who do you think you most picture your game as?
I've got this question from a couple of the scouts before, and Kike Hernandez. He played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and now he's having a full-time role for the Boston Red Sox. He's a utility guy. He can play the infield, he can play the outfield, but I study my game after him because of his passion and the love for the game, but also he's kind of my size, a little bit bigger than I am for sure, but I try to mimic his same swing, play just like him. I've been told I run like him a little bit and like my little strut, my jog and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a guy I look after a lot.
So with there not being any fans right now, and hopefully we get to have those fans right now, as we've talked a lot about you, we talked about Riley. Tell us one or two guys on the roster right now. If we were just to walk in and get ready to sit, like, Randy and I come, during NAIA time, but tell us a couple of athletes that you play with that we should be watching out for.
Dylan Plough. Dylan Plough is one of the guys for sure. He had a great start of the season right off the bat, and he's still going. The guy plays at a high level, very competitive, and very humble with everything he does, and works hard every single day, day in and day out. Blood, sweat, and tears are always on the field. Definitely Riley. You guys have talked about him.
He's 9 for 9, I think, in stolen bases this year.
Riley?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's killing it right now. He's killing it. And then another guy I would say is Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson is a grinder. Kind of an older guy, but still plays like he's young. And he's fast, talented, big, strong, and he just gets the job done no matter what. Some other guys, I'd say our new transfers, Talon Thomason. He's electric on the mound. His fastball will move like crazy. You never know what it's going to do. Struck a lot of guys out, especially in our inner squads. He's a struggle for us to hit, and I'm just glad he's on our team.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up this weekend, this last weekend. Obviously, they weren't able to play. We noticed throughout the 4 games that were played that the bats really weren't going. And the other thing that we really noticed, and I want to see if you were able to notice being on the bench, is there was a energy level from Oregon Tech that the LC just didn't seem to have this weekend. Was it because there was a 2-week layoff, or was it because maybe there was no fans? But it's almost felt, maybe until that last game on Sunday, things kind of got turned up a little bit. But like the energy level just didn't want to turn on. What do you think was accounted to that?
Honestly, I just from observing and just kind of being on the bench a little bit, we had a great start of the first of our year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the
Absolutely.
stats, 20 home runs,
Mm-hmm.
like we were.
You guys are scoring like 12 runs a game.
Yes.
On the road.
Yes, and I think we were playing really good teams out there, and I think a little bit we looked too far ahead instead of just being where our feet are and going inside the moment. And this is what we're doing right now. We're kind of looking ahead past this weekend, doing this and that, and that's where we got in trouble. And I think we can't do that anymore, especially with these teams that can come out with a win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are really solid, and I believe it, and we can do some great things this year, but we just got to be where our feet are, and I think that's what we were kind of looking
Yeah,
at.
one of the weirdest moments I had that whole weekend was it was the second game on Saturday, or you guys are tied 2-2. Oregon Tech takes the lead in the top of the 9th inning, and they just go ballistic. And then the Warriors able to come back and win it in the bottom of the 9th on a walk-off. And we looked down, and you guys just kind of walked out of the dugout, and we looked at each other and went, did we have the score right? That was the game, right? So, but I mean, I totally get it. A couple weeks off with no fans, and like you said, you kind of looking ahead a little bit. But that's the one weird thing about being here at LC is you're the target.
Yes.
Every year, especially with the NAIA being here every year, and it's always been funny to me living here because you don't really understand it at first. But that you go online, especially with the way Twitter is anymore. And after, I believe it was the last year that the Warriors won, 2017, I got on Twitter. We're the Patriots of the NAIA. Mm-hmm. If you're either a Warrior fan or you absolutely hate the Warriors. And so it's you can tell from those teams that are like, they build this whole week up. Like, all right, we're playing the Warriors. Mm-hmm. We're going to go get them.
Well, I think it's a coaching grind. I mean, LC has had some major coaches, over the last few years, at Chef and the guys there. How is it playing for the new coach here? This is what his second full year, is that right?
I think this is his second full year, but he's been here for 3.
Right.
But I love it. He knows his stuff. He's intense. He gets guys going, and just a great leader to have, an overall leader. He knows how to play the game right. He knows how to play it fast, and we go at his pace. And I just think it is better for everybody, especially when we have the pace going and they have to catch up to other opposing teams, have to catch up to us. And I think he does a really great job of that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see Jake in there and running the program now. To me, I see that, like you said, that same fire that we're used to. So
yeah, you guys get 4 games this weekend against Corbin, a couple on Saturday, couple on Sunday, hopefully. We see you back on the field. And I just want you to go, when you see Brock Efon again. Let him know I mispronounced his name on purpose the first game and he hit a home run. So if he wants to get upset because I can't say his name right, I'll go ahead and do it if it makes him mad enough where he's crushing home runs.
All right, I'll let him know.
It came out of my mouth, and I went, oh, God. And he crushed one down the left field line, and it went foul. And then the next pitch, he crushed out. And I looked at the guy next to me and I go, should I just call him the wrong name every time
Might as
at
well.
this point?
If it's working.
I mean, because who knows if you guys can even hear us when we're there. Obviously, with no other crowd, we kind of think so. But I was like, maybe that's just what I got to do. But it's so good to see you again. How the grandparents doing? Because that was one of our favorite things to do in play-by-play when they were able to come up from Arizona, right?
Utah.
Yeah. And they would always stop and visit up with us before a game. Just fantastic people. How are they doing?
They're doing great. They're always tuning into the games. Have ever since I was in high school. My grandpa's gotten to social media, and ever since then he's been taking it over. He's posting on everything.
Well, Grandpa Clint actually, I think, watched the Bantam game that we streamed on R&R this last week as we went up to do that game in Spokane, and I think he ended up liking the page. I'll have to double check, but I think Grandpa Clint. So if you're listening, I did tag you in it today, thinking, okay, I'm going to get a message from Clint today and say hi. It's been a long time, So it just that's the nice thing about being that Bantam, being a Bengal, and that is the relationships you make with some of these people and all of that, and it's a great thing. But one thing I know it's tough to see it happening, but what do you think about football, Bantam football, happening in February and March?
I thought that was the craziest thing, to be honest. But I mean, it has to be played, and I mean, why not now? And I think it's a great opportunity for these kids, especially having this past year and with all that's going on. I just think it's a great opportunity for these guys to play and play their last season as a seniors. And I just think, I don't know, if I could go back and do it, I wish I could. But
I didn't get a chance to talk to your dad this weekend as I was up setting up and all that. Do you still talk and coach with him and do things? Do you still strategize a lot with your dad?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have our little discussions about football, and the weird thing is, secret between us right here, but
nobody listens.
But I still have my Huddle account. I still have it up, and I love just going through and watching the games. I just watched the recent one, and I was just kind of going through, seeing who the new guys are and like how they're running their offense and stuff like that. And Coach Baez texted me before and saying, "Hey, I'm seeing you on Huddle. What are you doing? Like, are you watching some of our games?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I just like keeping up with it. I love the game and love talking to my dad about it. And I know he's passionate about it, and I like seeing him doing things that he loves to do.
So obviously majoring in business. What's the plan once you're done here at LC?
I'm planning to follow my dad in his footsteps. He is an orthopedic sales rep, and I'm planning on doing a couple internships after college is over. Going to job shadow him a little bit, and then learn how to sell, and then be able to sell to doctors.
That'll be awesome.
Nice to have a plan. So once again, AJ Davis, thank you so much for hanging out with us. 4 big games against Corbin this weekend, and again, hopefully we see AJ out there back on the field. As you said, fantastic start so far for the Warriors, and hopefully you guys can keep it going. I know schedules get weird from this point forward. It almost looks like, though, you guys mostly every weekend are fitting in as many games as possible. So that is good to see, and hopefully fans will be able to get out there sooner rather than later. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really, really appreciate it. It was good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Good to see you, AJ.
Good to see you.
And it's great to always have a former alum in the building. So a couple more high school notes to take away from this last weekend. The LHS boys do go down. They're not going to make it back to the state tournament this week as they lost a play-in game on Saturday to Eagles 63-54. George Forsman with 13 points. And after another tough game that they played against Post Falls just to get that play-in game, Randy, it was crazy to see that happen. Couple of Idaho State, we'll just let you know, Idaho State boys basketball team tournament that made the tournament. Prairie will tip against Riverstone tomorrow. Lapway will play against Liberty Charter on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. How about the Kyrie Irving video? Have you seen that?
I haven't watched it yet, but you told me before the show. You said, "Did you see what Kyrie Irving did?" And of course, I just think it's something bad.
Yeah,
because he's such a weird person, but very, very cool of him to do that.
Yeah, and I learned that he is a part of the Nimi Poo and sent out a huge video there for Lapway. So good luck to them. They are in the 1A D1. You look at 1A D2, Timberline will sneak in and play against Richfield tomorrow evening. In the 2A level, St. Mary's takes on Melba. And then we'll touch on 4A. Lakeland, who is in the Moscow side of the bracket, they will take on Bishop Kelly on Thursday. And in the 5A tournament, where Lewiston is normally at, Lake City comes out, and they will play Rocky Mountain on Thursday morning at the Ford Idaho Center. Also, we'll touch a little bit here on the state wrestlers as the tournament finished up. If you would like to see all of the names of who qualified, make sure you go to the R&R Facebook page and see all the names. There's a ton of names. We'll hit on a few. Yeah, we'll hit on a few names. Winners. Second place in the 126-pound, Tristan Bremer of Lewiston. Ruben Till, he ends up sixth place in state in the 195 5A class. Then we jump into 4A, a couple of Moscow wrestlers. Xavier Brown ends up third in his weight class. Skyla Zimmerman ends up sixth in the weight class there. Fifth place at the 145 was Diego Deaton, also of Moscow. And Logan Kearney ends up third place in Moscow. Lots of names here. Then we look at the 2A class. Landon Olson from Clearwater Valley ends up fifth. And just lots of different folks end up a great showing in wrestling there for the area. So glad to see that.
Absolutely. Now, again, as Robert said, you can check out that full list. There's just so many sports going on now. We got spring training games going on, and we're not talking any of that on this show because there's just too much to talk about. Let's get to the NBA update real quick and as fast as possible. I did gain 3 wins on Robert this week, and a little bit on the percentage, but Robert does have me by 12 right now. His team's 260 and 246. Mine are 248 and 262.
All right.
I want to delay this for a week.
All right, we'll delay it for a week.
But the Jerry West, the Kobe Bryant logo talk, it might be irrelevant by the time we get to it, but we are running short on time. So we will, because I want to have a good debate about it. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
We got 20 minutes left on our show, and we want to get to some stuff. As we do have the NBA All-Stars going on, I don't care.
I put the starting 5 in the reserves, but it's to the point of why some of these guys.
I kind of like that they're doing the slam dunk contest at halftime instead of its own night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a kind of a cool deal, but it's just been so hard for me to get back in the NBA. And then I don't think they should be doing this All-Star game. But I want to get more into the sports that just do not get a lot of time, because that's what I like to talk about. So let's talk PGA. As you have the World Golf Championships in Florida, and Colin Morikawa, there you go, wins by 3 strokes, 18 under par, 1.8 million. Fantastic to see all of the different golfers wearing red on Sunday for Tiger Woods. I believe Colin couldn't because his shirt got lost somewhere. So he posted a picture of his dog wearing red. I remember seeing that. Joel Damon took the week off. Next week is the Arnold Palmer Classic, or Invitational, in Orlando, Florida, March 4th through the 7th. It just makes me remember of Ross Button every week posting pictures because he helps coach for Gonzaga. Sorry about the weather every week, and just thinking of the weather in Florida right now just makes me mad.
Yeah, he's done that a lot here lately too.
All right, let's get to bowling, and you had the Tournament of Champions. Fantastic lineup with Francois Lavoie, Sean Rash, Jesper Svensson, Jason Belmonte, and Anthony Simonson being in the top 5. Francois Lavoie gets into the show off a roll-off.
Mm-hmm. Over Tom Smallwood too.
So barely makes the show and then runs the table as he beats Sean Rash 225 to 209. He beats Jesper Svensson 236 to 201. Beats Belmonte 220, 194, and then wins the championship over Anthony Simonson 233 to 187. It is his third major title. He has won the U.S. Open twice, and he has just been on a roll here to start 2021.
Yeah, unbelievable. And you look at a couple of the guys that he played against, Jesper, the only lefty out there, you would have thought the way he was going to start up, but, he went urethane out there and moved the ball a little bit, but he should, I'm shocked that Jesper went out as quick as he did. I would have thought he would have handled business, but I think I'm more disappointed in watching kind of Anthony. Anthony started on the outside of the lane, and then I think he waited about 2 frames too long before he made the major jump back inside. These two-handed bowlers have really got to crank the ball out, on some of these oil patterns. But, Francois was just nice and fluid all day long.
It was interesting to kind of see them struggle to score and to carry in this tournament as obviously under the lights and on those lanes, conditions are a little different, but for qualifying, the numbers were so outrageous. Right. They were just on fire. So it was really interesting to see that all of them were really kind of struggling to carry. And
the pattern was only like a foot longer. And it's the Don Johnson pattern, named after a great bowler. But, it was only a foot longer, but it was all that middle oil that changes things up. And you watch Francois throw a couple there in qualifying, and he missed totally out, and they go in the gutter. I mean, it's just crazy what the pattern changes, but you get under those hot lights and everything is changing.
Right. All right, let's get to NASCAR, where you had the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead, which is the only time they go at Homestead anymore. It used to be the championship race. I'm kind of glad they got rid of it as the final race. I'm not a fan of the Phoenix Raceway either, but watching races at Homestead is so difficult because it is very much car-based.
Right.
Like the best cars are going to be up there, and which makes it really difficult now, as this is one of the races where you show up and you race. There's no qualifying. There's no practice. You just take the car off the truck and you go.
Right.
So then you're trying to make all of these adjustments as you go. And it's really difficult, but it's really hard to pass there. There's so many times where you would see somebody catch up and get right on the bumper, and they make the move and they just can't quite clear them. And then they'd have to fall back in the line, and then they have to wait 2 or 3 laps to reset up. So it makes for a little bit of a boring race, especially if you're not big into NASCAR, especially coming off of the Daytona 500 and the Daytona road course. I just don't like these cookie cutter tracks. They're just not my thing. And we go to one next week with Las Vegas, which
I really want to take a road trip, though.
I would love to go watch it
live.
live. Yeah. Absolutely. But as far as entertainment goes, I don't find these as entertaining. But William Byron does win at Homestead. He pulled away. He won by like 5 or 6 seconds, completely dominated the last stage. I want to say 5th or 6th place were like 20 seconds back by the end of this race. Because it was a very clean race, which is nice to see. You're not getting these crazy wrecks like we had at Daytona the 2 weeks. But Byron goes first. Tyler Reddick finishes second. He's been off to a great start. Martin Truex Jr. third. Kyle Larson in fourth. And Kevin Harvick in fifth. And like I said, Las Vegas this weekend for the Cup Series. But now it is.
You're gonna have to record it. You're gonna be working baseball, so I guess you'll have to watch it on the way.
That's how I had to watch Homestead. All right, this week in sports history, sir.
All right, kind of a busy week for 3 days, but then not so much on a few others. So we'll kick things off on the 24th, 1982. Wayne Gretzky scores NHL record 78th goal of the season, en route to 92 total goals for the 81-82 season. Still is the current record. Gretzky does sit first, second, 8th, 10th, and 27th in goals and scoring. So it's just crazy to see all that. 1987, Laker Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scores his 36,000th NBA point, and then we'll add another 2,300 points in his career, and he still owns the most points scored in a career. One that stuck out for me, and I tried to do it here just because of NASCAR. Danica Patrick becomes the first female to start from pole position Also is the best finish by a woman at the Daytona 500, and she finishes 8th.
She raced really well at the restricted plate races.
Yeah, she did. She was a great racer, so I'm excited. Let's get some boxing. February 25th, 1964, Muhammad Ali wins his first world heavyweight boxing title when Sonny Liston fails to come out for the 7th round at the Convention Center in Miami Beach, Florida. The 26th, 1935, New York Yankees release Babe Ruth, and he signs with the Boston Braves.
Yeah, his career was done by then.
Yeah, exactly. 1967, Mario Andretti wins his first and only NASCAR Grand National event. Only time a driver born outside of the U.S. has ever won the Great American Race. He remains the only foreign-born driver to win the race. Did you know that one? I did not. I did not know that one until I was done. Here's one that really got to me. 1981, 84 penalties in a NHL brawl, I guess you would say. 84 penalties happened, 406 minutes worth of penalty time, and that was the NHL's Minnesota North Stars taking on the Boston Bruins. Boston ended up winning that one 5-1. Just crazy to see all that.
Yeah. Real quick, Eric Watkins hopped on saying that Kareem has the record for now. LeBron's going to pass him in a couple years. And I'm glad, Eric, you're still sticking around, because I have a feeling looking at some of these this week in sports history that the trivia question is going to kick my butt.
I don't know. 1989, Dallas Cowboys fire coach Tom Landry after a 29-year career. He went 250 wins, 162 losses, 6 ties. And his win percentage was 60.5%. One that sticks in my mind, your mind, and in our buddy Deuce's mind. In 2012, PBA Hall of Famer Pete Weber coins the famous saying, "Who do you think you are? I am." And that's when he.
That was the weakest
impression. I didn't want to, I didn't.
Pete Weber ever heard.
I attached the video here. Maybe we'll put it on the webpage, but. He ends up beating Michael Fagan 215, 214, needed a strike in the 10th in the 69th U.S. Open. He passed his father, Dick Weber, who had 4 U.S. Opens, by winning his 5th title.
Do you believe that Pete Weber made up somebody in the crowd just to get himself riled up?
I don't know. Yeah, everything you see of that video is his wife crying after they beat him. And, he
but
beats his dad.
The commentators the entire time. Because he starts going after them when he was facing Belmonte in the semis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, they never find any footage of anyone doing anything. Yeah. I just think Pete Weber did what some of the greats do, like what Michael Jordan would do in the 90s. And he would just make up rivalries to get himself going. Especially maybe after that, like the fist pump for Jordan over Craig Elo, and that infamous shot he makes. Yep. And, I know exactly what you're talking about there. 1998 Vancouver Canucks, Mark Messier is the 4th NHL player to get 1,600 points, finishes his career in 3rd place all time with 1,887. 1949 former heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis retires with a 66-3 record, including 52 KOs, defending the title a record 25 times. 1969, the New York Yankees legend Mickey Mantle announces his retirement because of knee injury, finishes his career 18 seasons with 536 home runs and a 298 batting average. And I think the biggest one, 2012, back on March 2nd, NFL establishes the existence of the Bounty Program in the New Orleans Saints in the 2009 through 11 season. I like how you called it Bounty Program and not Bounty Game.
I know. I wanted to, and I thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. Players were given incentives to injure the opposition. Sean Payton was suspended for the entire 2012 season.
All right, it is now time, sir. You got me last week.
I'm going to get you again this week.
I figured. I'm worried.
You told me I couldn't go basketball.
Don't go basketball. Don't go before I was born. That's all I ask.
I'm going to go 2 different ways. This is a 2-parter question.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
1989, the Dallas Cowboys fired Coach Tom Landry after his 29th career. He was the first coach to coach the Dallas Cowboys. How many other coaches were Dallas Cowboy coaches? That's the first part.
All time?
All time. How many coaches?
Oh, God.
You can do it without
3.
Tom Landry, but how many total coaches, including Tom Landry, were there for the Dallas Cowboys?
God. Jimmy Johnson, and then the one guy.
One guy.
What was his name that took over for Jimmy Johnson and won the championship? And then sucked after that. I want to say 9.
You're right on the nose. 9 coaches. Good job. You got half of it. So
all right. Everyone have a good night.
Yeah. Which 2 Dallas coaches have a better winning percentage than Tom Landry? So out of those 9 coaches, which 2 had the better winning percentage?
I can't even think of the guy's name. So Jimmy Johnson. Who else has a better winning percentage? Now I'm blanking on that guy's name. Who was just the guy that got fired?
Oh,
He was with the Giants.
No.
No.
And you weren't right. You weren't right with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy took
Barry
over.
Switzer. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Barry Switzer was and Wade Phillips. Barry Switzer had a 62.5 point win percentage. Wade Phillips 60.7. Jimmy Johnson didn't even crack it. He was 5.5.
To be fair, I guess they kind of sucked when he first took over, and then they were dominant for the couple of years, and then he went away, and Barry Switzer jumps in and wins the Super Bowl off of his team.
Yeah,
I just couldn't think of Switzer's name.
Or he could be Dave Campo, and only get a total of 15 wins.
I don't care. I got the first one right. On a total
9
guess.
coaches. Good job.
I will take it. So again,
Exactly.
So much happening in the LC Valley as far as sports. You got the track team doing a national tournament. You got some baseball, possibly some basketball. We got some volleyball going on. Everything going on as far as college goes. Tons going on as far as the high schools go. Spring training is happening in baseball. We will be starting our MLB previews next week, and we have decided to do the West divisions, American League and National League West teams, and we will do exactly what we've been doing with basketball. We will do our preview, and then we will draft those 10 teams onto our rosters, and then we'll do that for the Central the week after, and then the East after that, and then the end of March, we will do our World Series predictions and MVPs and all of the fun predictions that we are sure to get completely wrong, but excited for that. Again, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to get Robert to do some Aussie rules football preview. We're going to have some fun with that. Oh yeah, Johnson did have a 1-15 record. That does suck for sure. But we had a fantastic show. I want to thank AJ Davis and Kai Fong, as you said, the legend for sure, for coming on and hanging out with us. It was nice to see both of them. AJ a little late. Probably a little late to his thing, but that's okay. If he has a good weekend, I will allow it for sure. We are hoping next week to have a couple of the basketball players on to talk their tournament. We'll try to get somebody from both the women and men's team to come on and preview that once they have now been able to figure out who and when they play.
And franchise tags should be really moving next week. I think it ends next week.
It ends next week.
Yeah, so
I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, nothing has happened yet.
Something. We'll have 10 more games on our free agents to talk about. We're going to have a lot. When we first started this show, at least we had the NFL to fill an hour, because it was, other than the NFL, it was going to be really tough for us to fill 2 hours on the show because there was nothing local going on sports-wise. Now we don't even really have the NFL. We throw NFL stuff in just because we love that sport so much, and we give it 10, 15 minutes here and there. But we're cutting stuff because there is so much going on, and it's just so great. And every day we're putting stuff on the sheet because we're trying to keep things up. My Hawks have struggled a little bit in Aussie rules. We've got Eric all worked up. Eric Waggins of the Kickoff and the Black Irish podcast. If you are an adult and you can handle adult content, he and Jason Teasley have a fantastic show when Eric can get his tech to work. But he's getting it down, and we will have Eric on the show one of these times when we are not able to be on the air here and we do it from home. We'll get Eric on there for sure. But thank you once again to everyone that has hung out with us. Thank you everyone that liked the channel and hung out with Robert watching the Clarkston football game. It just helps our channel grow. And one last time, thank you to Kai Fong and AJ Davis. And we're going to have to do that 2-on-1 tennis match. I spoke a big game, and Kai did not back down at all, and I guarantee you he crushes us.
He'll whip us, I can tell you.
But it will be fun, and we will figure that out. But for now, that's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are